Welcome to Expand, Dominate, and Profit. I'm your host, Aaron Ryan, and today I have the man, the myth, the legend from San Diego, Mr. Dan Beer. Welcome to the show, Dan.
What's going on, man? Great to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on. So, Dan, you're down in San Diego. We kind of went over your stats a little bit before we jumped on here, but you're going to sell about 435 houses, $330 million down there in San Diego. First, I mean, that's amazing production. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. We're just excited. We've got a couple weeks to go here through the rest of the year, but that's right about where it's going to land based on where we are and what's scheduled to close. And, I think the most exciting thing about it is a year ago, we closed 285 homes and we had our 2-year, it was like right around 205 million. I'm going to say only 285 homes. And we had our 2-year offsite plan meeting for 2020.
Okay.
We walked out of there with 404 as the number we were going to hit. And
wow.
It's really cool on a number of levels. First off, like hitting goals and exceeding them is an awesome thing. And that's not something we always do. We don't hit every goal, right? Sometimes we actually fall just short of that goal.
Sure.
But also just the fact that this was really one of those goals that it was a stretch goal. Like it wasn't an easy goal. I mean, it's from 285 to 404 and you're going to end up right around 430. So it's just it's good to know we can forecast our business that way, which means we understand our business, when we understand our people, we understand our market. And that gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of business confidence moving into this new year.
That's why we love having people like you on the show, Dan. There's not enough real estate brokers, real estate agents out there running their business like a business. Right? We were just discussing that before we came on air. You ask the majority of brokers out there, agents who are running these teams, running these expansion teams, and they have no idea what their profitability is. They have no idea what their profit margins are. They're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And you've mastered running your real estate team like what it is, which is a high-powered, highly functioning business.
Yeah.
So let's start off with your background, Dan. How long have you been in real estate?
Got licensed in 2005. So we're 15 years in.
15 years in. That's great.
And it's been, there's different phases to that, as you know, right? There's the brand new phase. You have no idea of all the things you don't even know that you're going to discover later. Think questions you don't know how to ask. And then you're the producing phase, and then you're trying to build a business phase. And so it's kind of like a bunch of mini careers within those 15 years.
That's right. So you started off, I assume, in individual production?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And then who was your first hire? Tell us how your business kind of evolved, because right now you have 28 agents, 29 agents, somewhere in there, and 17 staff members on payroll, right?
That's correct.
So tell us how that evolution took place from the time that you started in 2005 to the time that you built this mega team.
I like that you asked me right away. Tell me about the first hire, because I've been spending a lot of time thinking about I know I love helping agents. I'm constantly helping agents, putting content out, taking phone calls. It's a big part of what I do. It's actually the core of what I do. But I've really been spending a lot of time recently thinking what phase, right? All those mini careers that we just talked about, what phase do I just genuinely enjoy more so than others? Where am I best served? Where do I give the most value? And it's right there. It's I'm producing, I'm selling, I'm busy. Get me out. Like how do I know I need an assistant, but I'm kind of scared to hire one. I know I need one. I'm not sure if I can afford one. How do I go about that? And what I find is that people are typically not looking at the opportunity correctly and the investment correctly, and actually typically really overestimating the cost of investment in an assistant.
Right.
On a number of different levels, not just from an opportunity cost standpoint, but from a real dollar standpoint too. And so this is actually, I'll take this as an opportunity to sort of make it the first time I really declare, this is where I'm just going to continue to work with people on an ongoing basis, because agents are, we have all kinds of different agents that are reaching out and wanting to be a part of our collaboration environment and so on. But this is my sweet spot. This is where I really, how do we organize that and scale out of that and organize people? So anyway, my first one was, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you about my first one, but I didn't structure it right.
Okay.
Right?
Like a lot of us don't.
Most people make the same mistake I made. So what year was it? I don't know. I think it was 2010 or so, about 5 years in. The reason I say I didn't structure it right is I was focused on getting the salary down to as low as it could possibly be. And then I built in, it was like 5% or something like that of revenue for this person. Okay. Which seems like a good idea at a certain phase in your business, seems like a good idea. If you're going to go that route, just understand that it will absolutely fall apart in one of a couple of different ways. And it might be okay that it falls apart. It ended up being okay for me. It fell apart and it was okay.
Sure.
But you understand you're doing something that is completely unsustainable. You will eventually be way overpaying. And and the reason it'll fall apart is because you'll not want to overpay. You'll want to restructure it. People don't like to go backwards, and it gets really messy. So that's how I structured it that way. What happens at that stage is you're thinking to yourself, let's just use numbers here. You're thinking, making 200 grand, maybe 150 grand. I'm going to pay this person on the come. They're going to be incentivized just like me. I'm going to have less risk up front. And the thing is that those percentage points that you're carving off for this person, you really want to build businesses with the end in mind. Right. And what you don't yet see, what you don't yet know. And that's why it's so important that you spend a lot of your time just surrounding yourself with people that have kind of already been through the business obstacles that you're likely to face, right? Just like Aaron, for example. So the reason for that is you don't see yet the cost of the inside sales department that you'll have eventually. You don't see yet the cost of the sales manager, the marketing coordinator, the runner. You don't see yet the cost of the in-house transaction manager, the listing manager, the fact that they might need assistance. You don't see yet the operations person you're going to have on board, the fact that you might have in-house videographer and photographer and so on. And so when 5 percentage points, it seems so insignificant in those days, could literally pay the salary of, in my business, for example, based on where we're at, do some quick math. Boom, 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 boom. It could literally pay the salary of 8 or 9 of those employees.
Right.
8 or 9 of those employees. So you're hamstringing your business by creating these structures that just don't scale. And I hope I'm making sense. I'm kind of getting into information that isn't relevant until it's relevant. But right. The smartest of those listening to this will like understand, I'm not building something for next month. I'm building something for 10 years from now.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't really matter.
Start it with the end in mind, right? I mean, that's the thing that I had to learn too when I was hiring. I did the same thing as you. I was trying to keep costs low. I was trying to just hire people for the business I had right then and there. And I wasn't hiring for the business that I wanted to have, right? So I was hiring people that had the capacity to process 50 transactions a month when I was trying to do 100. And that's where I ran into difficulties, in building our business. Was I would hire for the talent that I had, for where I was at now, but their ceilings were low and I just couldn't bump them and push them to grow with me. And so after 2 or 3 hires, I learned my lesson pretty good and started building my team for the business I wanted to have instead of the business that I had in that moment.
Dude, let's fast forward a little bit here, because this is right along what you're talking about. I love a few that you're trying to bump and take these guys with you. They wouldn't go. Well, my business genuinely really changed on a permanent basis when I was exactly there. I was 2 hires in for that key operator person that you're right. 2 hires in, but here's what it always felt like, and tell me if it felt the same way for you. It felt like I was always doing this, come and learn this, come with me to this conference, read this book, like, yeah, how about, watch this video, like, please, like it felt like I was trying to pull them with me, and,
Right.
and it was just always heavy lifting that didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
When I made a decision to, when we brought on the next person, who's of course still with us and is an absolute leader in our business, makes up, she's the most important person in our business and in our executive team. When I brought her on, I said, enough of this crap. I'm going to hire, like, the business is here. I'm going to hire someone that has more capacity than our business, someone that's bigger than our business, someone that's where our business is going. And hopefully we can do right by for her by actually getting there.
Right.
Versus someone that's already where we're at that I have to just hope will grow alongside us. And that's a major decision point, a major turning point.
It's funny, right? Think about it. Everybody who's out there listening, we both have $300 to $400 million businesses, right? And we just said the exact same thing. Don't hire for what you're trying to do today. Think and plan for what you're trying to do in the future. Otherwise, it's going to create you it's going to create a lot of headaches. It's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to cost you a lot of time. And it's one of those things that, I look at somebody like Dan and I say, learn from him. He's been there, done that. If you're trying to get to 330 million, which I don't know anybody out there who's not doing 330 million that's not trying to get there, right? If you're trying to get there, listen to this guy. He's taken the bumps in the road and he's taken the hits for you. Don't try to recreate the wheel. It's right here. Dan, so you hired you went through a few people. When did you start? I guess after the administrative team, right? That's always the next question that I get. When did you hire your first agent to start taking those leads? Because down in San Diego, your price points are a little higher than they are up here in Portland, Oregon, right? So you don't have to sell quite as many homes as we do in Oregon to get to $300-400 million or 100 million or 50 million, right? So I imagine that your capacity to kind of still work with buyers and sellers while kind of growing that volume is a little more manageable down there. Where did you get, what point did you get to before you needed to kind of offload? And I assume it was probably buyers.
Well, it was a couple of different iterations, right? It was the first iteration of it was probably 2011. And I don't think I was even doing that much. Maybe it was 30 or so homes, but this is one of those mistakes that, we see so many people make where, I had no business platform. I had no operation system. I had nothing.
Right.
And yet I am adding agents, and the split structures are never going to work. And, they're just everything is just wrong. Everything's wrong, but I'm just kind of copying what I had sort of witnessed in my traditional environments with, kind of older generation of agents that had built teams, or I thought they were teams. And that's actually one of the problems, is that they were misleading words. They were more like just groups of people that sort of worked independently.
Right.
I brought people on because I started to generate a ton of online leads. That's really what got my business off the ground, is like true, pure, organic SEO. I mean, wow. I don't want to get too lost in the weeds on it, but I used to be up at 4 a.m. for years, working my ass off, reading blogs, trying techniques, trying to figure out how the hell can I create a sustainable lead flow, because I never wanted to experience what I experienced in 2007 and 2008, where I woke up one day and just couldn't even pay my rent, and business disappeared overnight. And so I wanted to be in control of my lead flow, and that was my road in. Eventually I had too many leads. I added people to the team. It all fell, that had to be modeled. In the version that's worked out, it was right about 60 million, I'm going to say. Right about 60 million in production. This is like 2013 going into 14. Yeah, the end of 2013 going into 14. That 60 million in those days for me would have also been, I don't know, just call it 60 houses. My average price point used to be higher. Now that I have more volume, more transactions, it's kind of gravitated back toward median.
Right.
Still a median, because I've always had that like luxury base, but you can't, once you're doing 400 plus homes a year, it'll gravitate toward median.
Sure.
So our average now is like right around 740. Back then it was right around $1 million. So anyway, That's about where I brought someone on. Here's what I did personally, and this is one of those big steps in life, right? Is I found somebody. I actually knew him from college. He's still with me. His name is Brian. He's just an amazing guy. And we ran into each other in San Diego. Knew him from college. Had lost touch for a number of years. I knew he was a quality person. I knew that he was someone that would perform well, low end, high end, anything in between. It wouldn't matter. I can send him to anywhere, any part of town, period. You know, he could work. I was really comfortable with all that. It was just right time, right place in his career, what was going on in his life. Long story short is I brought him on and I said, Brian, okay, you're now working our buyers. And I mean that, like, you're now working our buyers. So my brother's buying a home in a couple months, you're working with him.
Right.
And I literally from that day to this day have not been in the car touring buyers around, which was scary because that was my whole business. Remember I told you it was all about online leads for me?
Absolutely.
Well, I had a buyer driven business that every now and then got accidental listings. Accidental listings that some buyer wanted to, you know, that we sold a home to would call us thankfully to sell their home. So when that happened, and this is where most people, this is one of those crossroads, and most agents, frankly, don't get through it. You can look at this in one of two ways. I gave up, the majority of my business, call it 80% of my business was buyers, and boom, it's gone.
That's scary.
My viewpoint was different. My viewpoint was I was giving up 40% because that's what I paid them at the time, and our stuff has changed now. But at the time, I paid them 40%. So I gave up 40% of 80%, but I gained back more than 80% of my time. And it's more than 80% because just because you do 80% buyers and 20% sellers doesn't mean that your time is split the same way. My time was probably like 90% buyers, 10% sellers. So I gained like 90% of my time back in exchange for 40% of 80%. You do the math for me, but the point being is that that's a freaking good trade. I thought, you know what, I can make some money on this trade. Yeah. And I bet on myself in that I would be able to replace that time with profitable activity and generate income. And what happened is that within about 15, 16, within two and a half years, I was listing more homes than anyone in the county because that's what my time was left to do. So we are since then the #1 listing agent in San Diego County.
That's saying a lot. You know, you're in a competitive county. Chris Heller's in your county. You know, this is the #1 guy in San Diego. So for anybody out there listening, if you want to learn how to list houses and run a team, this is a guy to listen to. So tell us, you know, right now, how many listings does your team carry on average?
Oh man, that answer is different today, isn't it?
Put you on the spot. Yeah.
No, well, it's a different answer today. Because
they're just selling.
So damn thin right. No, it's so damn thin.
Yeah.
You know, everything is gone the moment you have it. We've gone from having, say, as a marketplace, we've gone from having, say, 65-ish hundred homes on the market to under 4,000.
Right.
Everything's so depleted. Typically, we're carrying, call it 16 to 20-ish active listings.
Got it.
In addition to, say, another 25 or so coming soon listings, in addition to all the listings that are under contract.
So of those listings that you have, right? I mean, you're roughly, 45 getting ready to hit the books or active on the market. What do you think the #1 source for lead generation for those listings are?
Well, for us, it comes from the following places. It comes from, of course, our past clients, sphere of influence, all that kind of good stuff. It's, referrals, agent referrals, all that still #1. From there, though, we quickly go to farming, and I'm well known for farming. We farm with 16,000 homes for a long time. We've added a new zip code now, so we're somewhere at like 34,000 homes a month that we're mailing to every month here. And radio's been great. And now we've just added to our, this past year, really, we've added a lot to our marketing stack in terms of media. Okay. So you're just doing a lot of free media, like PR, outreach, and doing a lot of local news interviews as the expert that they call on. And that's been great. But also just traditional television, billboard, all that. has been a big part of what we're doing, and Hulu's been a cool thing.
Really? Okay.
And they all serve different purposes. Some are more direct response driven. Some are more reinforcement of everything else you're doing. Billboard, for example, right? I would never suggest Billboard unless you have a lot of other things going on.
That's right.
And that Billboard can kind of turn those things on fire for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
That's what it
know. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Dan. I'll let you finish your thought
I
there.
said that's what it looks like today. I was done.
Gotcha. So I know you're a big farmer. You're a big farming guy, and that's a pretty obtainable thing for a lot of people starting their business out to do. Any tips, tricks, anything that you got as far as farming wise that you'd recommend for anybody out there listening? What are some key high level overview?
In the spirit of probably the amount of time we have to go through it is, number one, you have to be consistent everywhere in your business, everywhere. And that's really the one superpower that any of us have, is consistency. Like there's nothing you've actually done that's that remarkably just completely invented from the ether, just from scratch, versus the fact that you do the things that most people give up on in month 1 or 2 or 3. You were still doing them on month 9, right? And then 15. So just like real commitment and consistency. So, that really is, I hate to give kind of a cheesy answer, commitment to the farm, really committed to it, minimum of 6 months, not expecting return, enjoying the ride, enjoying the communication you're having with your farm, over communicating, right? You're going to come out really strong. You're going to be in their mailbox at least every week for a couple of months. You're going to be in their mailbox multiple times a month on an ongoing basis forever. You're going to reinforce it digitally. You're going to reinforce it through, just local assets, depending on what's going on. There might be local newspapers, et cetera. I publish my own newspaper. It's a 12-page paper. It's an awesome piece. It stands out, but you're going to have to be committed. For example, this Friday and Saturday, I'll be at the park with our cargo van full of pies. And, like the old Thanksgiving thing that a lot of typically, some agents around the country are all doing it. A bunch that do it.
Yeah.
This year we're filling the van with pies, and we're actually going to be in the community parks in our farm, and we're giving pies away. And of course there's a whole program around it, right? Everything works when there's a program around it, meaning everyone that's coming isn't arbitrarily coming. They've already registered for their pie, which means we have their email address, which means they're now a custom audience in Facebook, which means that we're now hitting them repeatedly, and they're getting our education-based video messages. And you're just going to have a real plan around it.
Right.
You have to be multi-touch. There's so many more details, right? The messaging, the risk reversal strategies that you could deploy, all these things. And if I'm able to give myself a quick plug, if on agentacademy.com, I actually have my farming course that I detail out literally everything, walk you through the pieces themselves, how to choose the farm, how big, everything. And that's at agentacademy.com. It's called the Millionaire Farming Protocol.
Okay. Is that whole program just based around farming, or is there any other business tips, tricks, Dan, your specialties on there?
That program, that on Agent Academy, you can find 2 different programs. That one is purely farming. Having said that, I really think it's a marketing course wrapped around farming, because the direct response principles that are all embedded into it, the calls to action that you'll see on the postcards that I show you, all of it should be used in your dialogues, should be used in your commercials, should be used in your social media, should be used in any aspect of what we do as small business people. So I think it's a marketing course. That's the way I think about it, but it's all wrapped around farming. There is a course there that one every agent should have, frankly. But there's a second course on Agent Academy that's really meant for you, meant for people that are aspiring to be you, people that are building with the end in mind, or that are somewhere in the process of genuinely scaling their business. And you and I both know most people's businesses are fairly messy. Even the people you see on stage at wherever, at Inman or at at family reunion or at EXPCon or wherever. Like the reality is that a lot of businesses, even though they're being celebrated, like they don't truly have a cadence and an operating platform. And what happens to, when's the daily huddle and when's the team meeting and how does that team meeting get structured and what's our operating system for hiring people and the systems of the business. Right. So I call that the CEO course. It's 50 something videos long and it's every core system in our business. Right? The split structures, the showing agent model, the inside sales model. What does the handoff look like? The way we pay people, the way we incentivize them, the way we build our benefits packages, everything. So to a lot of agents, that would be boring information because where they're more in the lead gen mindset.
Right.
That's why the farming course is great. But for the ones that are planning on being a part of the top 2, 3, 4, I'm not even saying top 5%, but like just genuinely planning on being in that top 2, 3, maybe 1%, the CEO course is there too. Awesome.
Very good. Well, I want to shift gears. I want to talk a little bit about EXP. There's a lot of interest in EXP nowadays. I've had a few EXP, top agents on the show. And I understand you made the conversion over to EXP. I want to say it was 2-3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago, this coming February 2021.
3 years ago. Okay. And what was your major reason? Because where were you at before EXP?
I was at Keller Williams. I was their #1 producing team by GCI in their Southern California region. And life was good in many ways. I started to get in the process of actually buying my market center.
Oh.
And just a lot of things kind of started to come to light in terms of the way brokerages are structured, where opportunity really is, where it goes to, where it flows to, who's carrying undue burden, risk, energy, effort, disproportionate to limited reward that's available. Right. And of course I rescinded that offer and 3 years later, here I am.
What made you decide that EXP was the right company for you and your team and your business?
The thing that made me decide, keep in mind, I wasn't on some big search to find a new company at all. I've always just been really connected to what's made my business grow. Okay. I think that as an agent, you can get to say 5 million, maybe 10 million even. And maybe that depends on the market, but $5 to $10 million based on sheer hard work, being a relatively intelligent person that just puts their head down and gets at it. From there, I don't care who you are, you're going to find either very slow growth or you're going to just simply plateau out unless you do the thing that you and I are just getting to know each other, but I'm going to just go out on a limb and say, I know you did what I'm about to say. And certainly I did this, which was you start to just get almost obsessive about finding people that have done what you want to do and picking people's brain and getting on phone calls with people and asking people to lunch and going to workshops and seminars and conferences and learning and reading. And in other words, just getting yourself immersed in information provided by those that have already been through what you're about to go through. And through what we can learn from others, that's how my business then continued to grow past that plateau that I think anyone hits if you're just working on your own in a vacuum. Right. The challenge that I've always found with that format of growth, take I think 2 or 3 days ago, I was on I was able to arrange a phone call with somebody that is not at EXP. Okay. I was able, and this person is a really great, renowned home flipper. I was able to get a phone call arranged. It was 45 minutes. I'm growing the investment side of my business. And so I needed to pick his brain. And this guy turned out to be the coolest, nicest, most giving, you could not ask for a better dude. This guy was awesome. The challenge that agents I think have in almost every environment other than the one that I've chosen is that Yes, there's a plenty of awesome people just like that guy that gave me 45 minutes the other day. Challenge is, I have all my notes. I could show you my notes sheet that I took.
Right.
And now I go back to the office to implement. And like, oh shit, like, how did you do that? Or when did they do digital and then the postcard, or the postcard and then digital? And how many? Was it 3 times a month or 2 times a month? What was the software system? Where does the call come into? What was
Right.
you have 25 extra questions.
Information overload. Yeah.
I literally have and this guy could not have been more giving. I have still like 25, maybe 30 more questions that I need to ask him. Issue now is the guy doesn't work for me. I can't just be like, hey, guess what? I'm in your calendar tomorrow for another hour.
Right.
So the challenge is now I'm going to have to troubleshoot and work my way through these things and do a lot of trial and error. And look, this is a nice enough guy that I'll probably be able to reach out to him some weeks from now and be like, hey, can I steal 30 more minutes? But I've got to wait a few weeks, right? Because I can't, if not, I'm just like this weird, annoying guy that he was nice enough to talk to 2 days ago and now expects him to be on the phone with me again today.
Right.
And understandably so, the guy has a family and a business and everything else. He doesn't work for me. He's not financially tied to my results. So that's the environment everywhere, except for when I understood EXP. EXP people think about it like, I call them the knuckleheads, the ones that run around just telling people to come over for the stock and the revenue share.
Right. I've gotten those calls.
Oh yeah. And and you'll retire rich next week. It'll be great. Like, okay, bullshit, not true. Can those things happen? Yeah. After many years of working your ass off maybe and providing insane value to people, sure. But here's what's actually significant about the revenue share system and about the fact that these people all own the platform through the NASDAQ traded stock. What's significant about it is that when I understood that model, what I understood, and I saw the producers, these people that were unbelievable people who I used to hunt down online and try to spy on to see, try to learn their stuff to implement in my business.
Right.
What I realized was, hold on a second, these people actually now have financial incentive to help me grow the thing I really care about, which is my sales business. And wait a second, when they're helping me grow my sales business and our sales are growing, might that be attractive? And what if we kind of, there's financial alignment here from them to me and now from me to others, where when people's lives grow and their businesses grow, my life is literally getting better. So the thing that I thought was so interesting is Glenn Sanford, the founder, found a way for a guy like me. Just like I said, I can't jump into that guy's calendar at will and just, hey, guess what? I'm here. Well, he found a way for a guy like me, to literally just open up my most precious resource, which is time, to agents that are looking to grow their business and just simply focus on helping them grow their business, not their stock, not their revenue share, their business. Because I'm also smart enough to know that the more they produce, the more naturally attractive they'll be to other agents that want to grow their business. And the more that happens, the more people join the group, the more revenue share there is, the more financial incentive there is, the financial alignment is strong, the more we continue to collaborate, continue to have all of this learning environment that we've built that just grows our business.
Right.
Attractive, that brings more people, that gets more revenue share, that brings it. So it's a cycle. The two are so interconnected. And so I made a bet on this. I've grown my business by learning through others and having to do a ton of trial and error all along the way. I think that based on the caliber of people that are in this group, that are in the same business I'm in, that are doing what I'm doing today, that have just already either failed at it or conquered it, maybe, I'm going to make a bet that the fact that there's financial incentive and alignment, the sharing I receive is going to be even better, even deeper, even more detailed on a partner level versus a cocktail party level than anything I received in the past. I think I might grow faster.
Right.
The end result was I grew faster. My last year at my previous company, I went from 151 to 161 million.
Wow.
My first year here, I went from 151 to 161 is wow, but it's wow because it's tiny growth. That's the wow. The
Yeah.
numbers are big numbers. Don't get distracted if you're listening by the big numbers. The growth was small and stalling. Right? First year over here, though, open up partner level collaboration with multi-million-dollar GCI agents that are there to basically be your unpaid coaches. Well, they're paid just, but EXP pays them for you instead of you paying them. My production business, which is what I'm focused on, went to 215 million. This year it'll be 330 million.
That's incredible growth.
It's just stupid growth. It's really crazy growth.
That's crazy growth. You know, the thing that stands out to me when you talk about EXP is, and you know, because you came from the same place I did, we were paying $1,000, $1,500 a month for mentorship and coaching, right? And now there's an opportunity that exists where somebody can join an EXP with Dan Beer and get that mentorship, get some direction and have those groups to be able to bounce ideas off of. I think it's incredible.
That's what it is. Look, here's the thing. Let's bring this back to planet Earth for a moment.
Right.
Everything we're talking about, it only matters if you go and get to work. No one's going to do it for you. Here's what I tell people all the time. Two things. One, your first morning at EXP is identical to your morning today. It's not different. You're going to have to talk to buyers, talk to sellers, do your lead gen, figure out your Facebook ads, whatever, hire an assistant. The real estating does not change.
That's right.
What changes is, I'm stuck on this. I see this opportunity. I want to grow this arm of my business. That what changes is you going about those things alone versus alongside others that are there literally winning or losing financially with you. That changes the level of collaboration. I tell agents, let's just pretend you are not going to see a dime of revenue share. And I say that purposefully just to make sure that they understand that this is not like, I get it. There's people running around telling you that you'll be rich next week. Okay. That's called bullshit. But I tell people, let's pretend, just pretend, because you likely will, but let's pretend that you're not going to see a dime of revenue share. Well, revenue share is still the most important thing in the world to you. Because you just told me that you sold 12 homes last year, or 24 homes last year, and you're looking to do 60 this coming year. Or you told me you sold 40 homes and you're looking to go to 70. Well, revenue share is the most important thing in the world to you because it's the reason that you now have my entire playbook and everything that's ever gone right or wrong for me and access to my calendar on an unlimited basis. It's the reason that all of these producers that are part of your life now, that have faced every business obstacle you're about to face, going back to the beginning of this podcast, that know what it looks like down the road, that can see around the corner for you. It's the reason you now have access to them and you're surrounded by them on a partner level, which is going to get you to your goal faster.
Right.
Revenue share is the reason that all those people are there for you on such a deep collaborative basis. That's why it's important to you.
Right. That makes sense.
It's important to you just on that basis alone, based on the increased commission income you're going to receive, which by the way, will naturally make you more attractive and probably will bring people and you'll probably will get, and so on and so on.
Right. Well, Dan, I know we're running out of time, man. So if anybody has questions about agentacademy.com, they have questions about EXP, anything else we talked about, how can people get a hold of you?
You get a hold of me. Best thing is you could go to, find me on Instagram at @DanielBeer_. You could go to Agent Academy, certainly at agentacademy.com. You could just freaking find, shoot me a message on Facebook or something. I'm easy to find. So I'm all about helping people. I love helping people through that, thinking about growth, right? Like thinking about how do we analyze that assistant and what do they do? And then what happens next? And just really kind of getting through that messy middle. Cause it's fun. You really see crazy, for those that implement, I go back to that because it's like, right. You have to show up, man. There's no nowhere or nobody you can talk to where it automatically happens for you. But if you're going to actually do it and put it to work, that's just the phase where you see really crazy, cool growth. And I love being involved with people.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. So anybody wanting to grow their business, go to agentacademy.com. You got questions about EXP, you know how to find Dan. Dan, I want to thank you for being on the show, man. I know you're extremely busy. You're growing a huge company and you're doing good stuff. Anybody out there that wants to get a hold of me, you can find me online on Instagram at Aaron Ryan, or you can always call my office, 503-343-1666. We're always available to talk to our listeners. Again, Dan, appreciate you being on, and we'll talk to you again soon.